I rehearsed my TED talk with my daughter this morning, and my 8-year-old daughter was horrified. Daddy, what is net zero? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And how do we fix it? Indeed, if we continue on the same carbon emissions trajectory that we are currently on, we will bridge the 2-degree of warming limit within 20 years, with no credible way to turn back. This will cause the Greenland ice cap irreversibly to start to melt, which will cause sea levels in low-lying regions like the Netherlands and in coastal regions like Durban or Cape Town, and even nations to drown. The CO2 concentration today is higher than it's been in the last 15 million years, when the sea level was 30 meters higher than it is today. For a long time, climate change seemed like a conversation reserved for COP dinner tables and a long time away. But today, climate change is impacting our everyday lives. From floods, as we've seen this year in Pakistan and Australia, to droughts seen in Europe, to extreme weather conditions seen in India and in Europe. The world has been through unprecedented change. A war in Ukraine, the COVID-19 pandemic, global supply chain disruptions, and inflation levels not seen as high in the last 40 years. Unfortunately, all of these impacts have affected our energy transition and our journey to net zero. For us to achieve net zero, we need to cut emissions 8% year on year. As I stand here today, on the eve of COP27, when in COP26, looking back, 64 nations, which account for 89% of global emissions, committed and pledged to net zero. It begs the question of us, how far are we today on that journey? Electricity is a key force in our energy transition and us achieving net zero. It will account for from 19 to up to 36 to 40% of the energy produced in 2050. I know it might be difficult as I stand here today to picture net zero in a world where a war in Ukraine, which has accelerated, on the one hand, Europe's transition to a renewables-led power system, but consequently also has dampened investment in other regions. Consequently, both will cancel each other out over time. But if I take a step back and we paint a portrait of what the world will look like in 2050 under net zero, and what is required for us to get there. Number one, renewables will account for 80 to 90% of all electricity generated and become the new baseload. For this to be achieved, solar PV will have to increase 20-fold. Wind energy would have to increase 10-fold. So this would mean that solar PV would account for approximately 38% of all electricity generated, and wind approximately 31%. Number two, the grid. Significant grid investment is required for us to accommodate the large advent of renewables onto our power system. Just to get to 2030, more than half or 50% increase in financial investment is required. With renewables being the new baseload, dispatchable plants like battery energy storage, flexible gas plants, and hydrogen electrolysis plants will be required to provide grid stability support. Number three, hydrogen. the silver bullet, will have to increase exponentially. Hydrogen would have to increase, especially in hard-to-abate sectors like transport, maritime, and aviation. Number 4, EVs. EVs will achieve grid parity by the mid-2020s. Number 5, buildings. Buildings are forecasted to double in demand due to increased living standards, which will result in increased use of appliances and increased heating and cooling. Number 6, natural gas. Natural gas is set to increase modestly up to 2025, thereafter stabilize and start to decline as hydrogen plants come online. For us to achieve net zero by 2025, no new oil and gas must be added to our power systems after 2024 in high-income countries and after 2028 in low and medium-income countries. Natural gas is forecasted to occupy between 15 to 23% of the total energy mix. Bringing it back to corporates, the message and mandate is clear. Deliver sustainable goals on ESG in a world of carbon limits. This is the mandate from investors. We are seeing in the oil and gas sector that capital budgets on average of up to 23% are being allocated to the energy and the resource transition. Bringing it home to Africa. What does this mean for Africa? Africa is endowed with significant renewable energy resources and commodities, making us able to play a pivotal and key role in the energy transition. As Africa, we can source a quarter of our energy needs from renewables by 2030 and 2/3 by 2050. Africa is able to leapfrog the energy transition and play a key role in the energy transition on a continent where up to 600 million people do not have access to energy. As a continent, we've committed our goals and the opportunity for us to play a key role in the energy transition is undeniable. Employment. The current renewable energy sector employs 10.3 million people. This is forecasted to grow to 24 million and add GDP of up to 1.1% globally. So coming back to my daughter's question, how do we get there? Number 1, we need to work together. We need to think globally but act locally in our energy transitions by country and by sector. Secondly, we need to scale up. We need to scale up on renewables. We need to scale up on battery energy storage. We need to scale up significantly on hydrogen, scale up on energy efficiency, and scale up on carbon abatement technologies. Lastly, significant financial investment is required. For us to achieve net zero by 2050, it is estimated that it will require $50 trillion, of which 70% will be spent or needs to be spent in developing countries. In conclusion, I leave you with the future is in our hands. What will the earth that we hand over to our kids and to our grandkids and for generations to come look like? Thank you.